Hi Greedy 3Ds. Now I know I've been a lucky boy in the past and had 3D printers sent to me for review, but not on this occasion. On this occasion, for all the hype that I've heard regarding the Bambu Labs systems, I've jumped in and I've bought this A1 and its AMS system. Cost around about 420 quid, and I got it directly from Bambu Labs themselves. And I want to talk you through my experience, what I thought about buying it, what I thought about using it, and how am I comparing this to all the other bed slingers that I've used in the past. Stay tuned. There are two kinds of 3D printers I feel in the world. The first kind who just want to print things, and the second kind whose actual hobby it is to mess and to tweak and to twiddle with their 3D printers. I do not fall into that camp. I do not fall into that camp at all. I like a 3D printer that I can just press print and it will give me some fantastic results. And I've used lots of 3D printers in my time. I've used Creality ones, Enders, I've used Anycubics, I've used a shed load of them. This, beyond doubt, is the easiest one that I've used. And let me tell you why. When you first buy a printer from the company, you don't want to mess around. Most things I've got from Amazon, and I really like Amazon because you get next day delivery, you get returns that are easy. But this wasn't on Amazon, so I had to go directly to Bambu themselves. And the experience that I got when I bought it from them was perfect. The ordering process was easy, the price was good, everything was simple. The arrival time of this machine for me, I ordered it on the Monday, it arrived on the Wednesday in the UK. You can't really moan at delivery times like that direct from the manufacturer. When it came exceptionally boxed, and the packaging is just beautiful. Everything has been thought about. There is a place for everything and everything has its place. And that's a really lovely thing to see. From an assembly perspective, and there is some assembly to do in this model, the assembly was easy again. There's a little booklet that comes with it, or you can go online and there's a complete breakdown of how you do it. Now, I followed the little booklet and I didn't really have any dramas at all. The bits that you need to screw screws into are labelled green. The bits you have to take screws out of, and that's your first job when you get it, is to remove the packaging screws, are labelled in red. Everything is colour coordinated in the little booklet, and everything is colour coordinated on the printer. So the disassemble, if you will, and the assembly process of both the printer and the AMS I found to be easy. The setup process, once everything was together, well, the machine talks you through it on its wonderful little touch colour screen. You have to calibrate the printer, it does that for you. It will self-level, you don't have to worry about self-leveling. It does its input shaping tests. Now what that means is wherever you put this printer, run the test wherever it sits and it's going to live, because it will shake itself a little bit and vibrate itself, and it will find the best algorithm in its own little brain to compensate for any vibration where it is. And it's really important, so you do that test where it's going to live, because if you move it afterwards, then the test becomes a little bit null and void, and you'll have to run it again. So that's really good. It does all that for you. It talks you through all that. It's really, really simple. When it's done all of that, it tells you, let's print our first print. It shows you how to do it. It tells you how to lubricate bits on it. It even shows you in the little guidance. It's absolutely easy. Now, if you're a beginner in the 3D printing world and you want something that's simple to use, you want something that you can just literally get out the box, assemble relatively easily, and get to work from day one, this has got to be the printer for you. So let me show you it doing some printing, let me show you it doing some other bits and pieces, and let me talk about it in a little bit more detail. But don't forget also, you get the AMS system, so you're not just getting a printer, you're getting a printer that's able to print in up to 4 colours. And if we look at the back of the printer, you can see there's 2 connections for an AMS connector. So does that mean we can connect 2 of these and have 8 colour printing? It's so exciting. This thing also is the quietest printer that I have ever used. I kid you not, it is beautiful, beautiful. Build volume on this, okay, it's not the biggest build volume you're ever going to get in the world. It's 256 by 256 by 256. That's pretty standard for the other models, such as here the Ender 3 version 3, exactly the same build plate. The K1 behind me, same size build plate. So although it's not the biggest build plate in the world, it's certainly not a max or a super max size, you can get away with printing 90% of the things I'm sure you want to print on it. And if you need to split things in half, then you split things in half. I'll be surprised if at some point they don't do an even bigger printer, because when you think about the history of this, there was the A1 Mini first, and now you've got the A1, which is a little bit bigger. So I suspect at some point they're going to throw something out which produces something a little bit bigger. The hot end as well is a fantastic idea. When you need to replace the hot end itself, it's literally a case of unplugging it and plugging a new one back in. No unscrewing things, no messing around, it's just simple. And that's what I like about Bambu Labs. And I've never used a Bambu Labs printer in my life. Everything is easy, everything is simple, everything's included as well in this. You've even got a camera, so you can monitor your prints remotely. You can do little time-lapse movies. Now, it's not a fantastic high-definition camera, but you know what? My version 3, Ender 3 didn't come with one. That didn't come with one. My K1 behind had to buy that separately. This comes with one, and it's all set up and it's ready to go and it's running. Simple. The AMS system as well is a relatively simple design. It looks, I love it because it just looks so space age, but it works really, really well. You feed your filament in, it draws your filament through. The whole things communicate with each other. You can tell it what filament you're using, you can tell it what colour you're using, and it will just do the prints for you. I've had zero problems. It has printed out the box perfectly. I've done a couple of prints and I'll show you some of the detail here in the prints. I did this Millennium Falcon suspended in wires, and first print, just press print and it did it. It's beautiful. It's just fantastic. The other thing that I really, really like about this, and I do sound like a bit of a Bambu lover here, I must say I am converted. The other thing I love about it is when you get your Makers app, when you get your app that comes with it, your little Bambu Studio app, you just flick through it, find the file you want and press print, and it will do that from the app itself. And the ones that I've printed are free. I'm sure there's some paid ones out there, but they're free. You just press print, it sends it to the printer, you tell it what colours you're using, bang, it's done. And that's how I got that Millennium Falcon as well. And I'll put some links in there to where you can get it from, and I'll show you how I got it. But wow, they've just made the process easy and they've made the process simple. And thank God for that. It's about time. I'm fed up with messing with printers. I've had some real horror stories when I've had brand new printers arrived. It seems that the quality control on those printers, and I'm not going to start naming printers here, you can watch my reviews and see what I'm on about. Quality control has been non-existent or negligible, and things have arrived wonky, things have arrived not right. This arrived beautifully, not just the packaging, but when I've unpacked it, just look at it. It's a beautiful looking machine. Everything connects together. There's a little bit of wiring to do when you set it up, but you know what? There's all little brackets that you put things in. It's all color coded. It's just easy. And that is, again, what I love about this. So for me, the A1 is the best bed slinger you can buy at the moment. The AMS system accompanies it beautifully. If you don't want the AMS, then it's fine. You just print it with a normal spool and away you go. But if you want some multicolour options, the AMS is a definite way forward. Now, does it have any negatives? Well, for me, there is a negative. Where you're printing and the environment you're printing in will have an impact on whether you go for this system or you maybe look at one of the other enclosed AMS systems, if AMS is the way you want to go. I've got an old reel here. It's an old Jam J high-speed filament, and it's been sat outside for months and months in my shed. So it's got a little bit damp. Now, the only thing you can't do with this setup of printer is dry this. If you had maybe one of the P1Ps, you could, and one of their AMS systems that go along with that sits on the top and heats it up as it goes through, you can dry it out. But if your printing environment is going to be outside in the shed, for example, like mine is, the man cave, these reels of PLA may get damp and they may change the printing parameters a little bit. Let me show you what I mean. I've got this pooper scooper here that I printed in that blue that's been sat outside, and some of the edges of this, it didn't print very well, so the filament was quite clearly wet or damp. That's no fault of the printer, none whatsoever. And again, it's not a bad quality print, it's an absolutely fantastic functional print, and I will be keeping it and I will be using it, but it did make some issues with stringing. That's not the filament's fault. That's not the printer's fault. That's the environment's fault. So if you're going to be printing with the AMS and you're going to be leaving your reels outside in the air without the ability to dry them, then just be aware there may be some problems with the drying process. Now, I've got a filament dryer behind, so all I'm going to do is stick my filaments in there for half an hour, dry them out before I put them on the AMS and print with it. It's no real dramas for me, but it's something that you need to consider. As for other disadvantages, I guess if the size is okay for you, if the 256 cubed is okay for you, or squared or tried or whatever you want to call it, is good for you, then that's not a disadvantage. If you want a bigger printer, then you're going to need to look at other options and look at bigger printers. Of course you are. If you want to build things in situ that are massive and you don't want to break them apart, it's going to be an issue for you. It's certainly not an issue for me, and I suspect it's not an issue for the majority of people that do 3D printing. They did have a recall as well with the first lot. Now, this is one of the second generation that's got the little protective piece at the back of the printer, and the reason I've mentioned that is when they realised that there was a problem with their printers, they did a recall. Bambu pulled them all back and they offered you solutions, and they gave you new build plates to fit yourself or send the machine back. And I think that is testament to their quality assurances, and is also testament to their support services. And I think, again, it's always a double-edged sword when something goes wrong with a printer. Things will go wrong, but it's how a company deals with that I think is important, because mistakes will always happen. Bambu have proved that they will deal with their problems professionally, diligently, and in the correct manner. And again, that's another brilliant selling point for this machine. So let's just have a look at it printed. The first thing I'm going to print is the Benchy. I've got to print the Benchy first. Everybody prints the Benchy first, so I'm going to do that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful end result for this little Benchy. I've not seen better than this. I've seen worse than this. And you've got to remember as well, this was printed in the filament that was being left outside. So, you know, the little tiny bit of stringing that you see, that's not down to the printer. Not down to that at all. That's down to the fact that the filament is a little bit damp, and that's my fault as a user. Next thing I printed, obviously, was the Millennium Falcon that you saw, and that was perfect. I printed next these little flutes. So these are for the grandkids, and I'm sure that they're going to enjoy playing with them. Just remind me to give them to these when they're going home, not when they arrive, because, you know, obviously that could get on your nerves after a while. But the quality of that print as well, which incidentally is in the printer. Another thing I liked about it was when it arrived, there are a fair few prints in the printer that you can actually have a go and print, because one of the things you don't want when you get your new printer is you don't want to be messing around trying to find something to print with it. Well, there was about 8 or 9 prints in here, and they were all fairly interesting things as well. So this was one of them, this little, I'm sure there's a name for this little whistle thing. I'm sure it's from some kind of Nintendo game. You're going to shoot me. Let me know in the comments what it's called. I feel a little embarrassed that I've forgotten what it is on this video. I did actually know. But these are fantastic bits of kit, and the quality absolutely perfect. Again, now this was printed with some grey high-speed Jam J filament, and there it's perfect, no stringing at all. So let's just have a look at some of the specifications for the print, because I know some of you want to know specs, and that's really important here, and I get that. Now, all the specifications that you're going to need, you can find on their website. We know a lot of the information already. We know it auto-calibrates. Not only does it self-level, but it looks at its vibration sensors also. We know it does multicolour printing with its AMS. We know also it's got an active flow rate compensation. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means actually is it monitors the amount of material that's coming out of it, and you get a better print. You get a cleaner print, and I've certainly seen that. You get a quick nozzle swap. We've mentioned that before. No one doing screws and bolts and messing around. If you want to change your hot end, if you want to change your extruder bit from a 4mm to a 2mm to a 6mm as example, you just literally pull it out, swap it over. Now, if you've got a printer and you want to live somewhere, like you want to use it in a flat or a studio or an apartment, somewhere that's you're going to be sleeping, and I don't always recommend you print where you sleep, but what better way than to have something that's got active motor noise cancelling? It is so quiet. For a Bed Slinger machine, you can easily use this in a closed area from a sound perspective, not so much from a fumes perspective. You might have to deal with that a little bit separately when you're heating up the PLAs or whatever material you're using, but from a sound perspective, it's amazing. Now, I've mentioned the Bambu Handy on your phone. You've also got Bambu Studio, and this is pretty much the same thing. So on your computer, you can do all the other things. You can choose a slicer in there, you can choose your specification, you can tell it what colour to print, how to print, do all your supports and everything else you can do with any other slicer, and this one is specific for your Bambu machine. There's all the specifications there. 300 for your hot end, 100 for your bed, up to 500 millimeters per second speed. Look, if you want to know all the specs, you know where to find them. They're on the Bambu Labs website. And I think if you're thinking of getting this printer, just do a little bit of research in the background and have a look and see what you get for your money. But from my perspective, it prints, and it prints really well. So in conclusion, what do I think? Well, I think you pretty much know what I think. This is without doubt my favourite Bed Slinger printer that I've ever used, for the host of reasons that I've given you previously. And I think it is a fantastic investment. I cannot wait to use this in anger. I can't wait to make some fantastic creations with the change of colour filament AMS system that it offers you. And I am a little bit of a Bambu Labs convertee, I have to say. Having dealt with lots of different companies over lots of different years, the dealing with this company, Bambu Labs, has been exceptional. Their printer quality is just beautiful. It functions beautifully and it works beautifully. Thank you, Bambu Labs. Thank you for converting me. As I say, they haven't sent me this. This isn't a freebie. I'm telling you all about it because they've sent it me, because I don't do that, and you know I don't do that. I bought this with my own Wonga, 420 quid's worth of my own Wonga. Money well spent. I would buy a Bambu Lab in the future, without doubt. Now, I hope you've enjoyed that, Greedy 3Ders. I really would be interested to know what you think about this printer, what you think about Bambu Labs, and have you got any different versions of my opinion that you want to let me know about? Am I right? Am I wrong? If you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you think about joining the Greedy 3D Patreon. All the details will be below. And I will make some more creations with this, and we'll show you that in a few more videos. But let me hear what you think about things, and I'll see you next time on Greedy 3D.